Hi, Mary. So I've looked over your lesson plan and here's some feedback. I think this lesson plan is really, really good. I like it. Let me tell you some of the specific things that I really like that I think demonstrate, that you're building good habits in lesson planning and, that I want to see you replicate. So, all right. Oops. Hold on. Let me get set up. Okay, so here we go. All right. I love the fact that your established goals are very, very closely aligned to what you're teaching the kids to do and what you're asking the kids to do. I know that may seem like a small thing, but I think sometimes people feel when they're lesson planning that they need to get so fancy with things instead of just being simple. And yours is so simple, so straightforward, right? Pose questions that elicit elaboration, and relevant observations, and that is exactly what you did. So I like that. Continue to stay very close and tight to those established goals when you're lesson planning. I think that that will be a really good strength of yours. Really good way to know that you're not only aligned, but that the kids are doing, that the kids are practicing really useful skills. Okay. All right. Okay. Your students will be able to. I like the fact that you unpacked those evidence outcomes, right? So, that we're asking questions that elicit response. Okay. Unpack questions. What are questions? Why do we ask them? And then the answer to that question explicitly became your students will be able to. So again, very nice alignment, and very nice unpacking of the standards. That's going to be a real strength of yours, Mary. I like that you're doing that. Okay. Into your learning plan. Very cool hook. I love that you're thinking about that common human experience, right, of the little kid. Why, right? Everyone knows that to some extent or the other and laugh about it and everything. And, so you get them from this cute, fun little memory loop, and then you very fluidly transition them into, right, we know this, 20 questions, it's frustrating, but did you ever stop to think about why people are asking those questions? To get to know each other better and things. I mean, that transition is solid, Mary. Very solid. Very good. Okay. In your direct instructions, so I'm going to scroll down to your notes handout here. Do, 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 do. Here we go. I like the fact that you're revealing part of the information at one time and part of the information at another time, so that the students are only seeing a section of it instead of like concentrating on doing, just writing and not listening to at all. And I really like the fact that you have sentence starters too, especially with the fact that that this is designed for seventh graders. Taking them from this abstract idea of like a factual and interpretive and author's intention question. I can hear those things, but then sometimes applying those things is kind of awkward to do. And so the sentence starters you have, I think, is a really good adaptation to the fact that these kiddos are young and not well practiced in this stuff. Okay. It was funny because as I was reading your learning plan, I had not yet scrolled down to the handout yet, and I was thinking to myself, oh, she probably needs to pause. She probably needs to pause here. She probably needs to pause there and provide like an example of this question. And then I scroll down to your handout, and indeed, there's one example. Space for them to do two more. I mean, Mary, you read my mind. So really good. Here's the label. Here's the definition. Here's an example. Now you practice it twice. Again, label, definition, example. And be willing, Mary, when you're going through these notes to really pause and help the students interpret and unpack these. This one's not so hard, right? Actual events in fact that happen. There you go. But questions that ask for the reader to deduce, infer, or interpret. That's the kind of place where you might want to pause and go, okay, what are these three words? The kids have heard these words before, but if they really stop to think about the definition so that they can talk about it and apply it, in seventh grade, maybe not. What does it mean when we infer? What does it mean when we interpret? And then looking at this question and unpacking the question too. Okay, so this is an example of an interpretive question. Let's look at this and analyze the pieces of it that make it fit. That way, when you do your interpretive question, you can have your own like kind of set of criteria, right? It's like, these are the things I'm going to ask myself. As your teacher, I'm going to be asking of your questions. So that way there's no surprises, right? So at the end of chapter 7, Ponyboy, when referring to Randy, says, quote, blah, 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 blah. What did he mean by that? And kids will go, nah, that answer was found straight in the text because it was a quote. Oh, you're right. So can interpretive questions refer to explicit text? Yes, that's one criteria. They can refer to explicit quote or they don't have to. Next set of criteria. What makes this a question about deduce, infer, or interpret so that I know that this is an interpretive question? Well, see, it goes, what did he mean by that? So it's asking you to infer the meaning behind that. Oh, okay, good. So I've got two steps of criteria here right now that, that I know make this an interpretive question. So when you're writing your interpretive question, write your question and then check the criteria so that you know whether or not that really is an interpretive question. You can control your grade for it. Okay, so see what I'm saying? Like, help them pause, help them unpack that. But really, the rest of this is Loctite. It's really good. You walk them through the notes and the examples, and then I like that you put them in small groups. So you've got a couple heads to put together, a couple brains to put together to work on those things, and that you have the opportunity to really circulate and make sure, because you got to watch out in small groups, especially in school, right? You're going to have one kid who's like, whatever, just tell me what to write. And then he just copies whatever, the kid next to him is doing, and really pausing and saying, hey, this is a valuable skill and we want to be able to do this and, be able to practice this later and take it places. So, make sure you're not doing that. But Mary, this lesson plan is really great. I really like it a lot. And I love the fact that you're collecting this and calling it a formative assessment also, so that next time you ask kids to, participate in a graded discussion, you can say, okay, I want to make sure you have one factual, one interpretive, question, and that whether they're going to be capable of doing that or not. So really nice job. Thanks.